In today's video, I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks on this plant right here, my Melanochrysum. Going to be giving you a bit of an update, a bit of background, let you know my thoughts on it. If that's something that's of interest to you, then definitely keep watching. What is up, my planting people? My name is Lithius and welcome to Roots Ready. I said it already, this is it, my Philodendron Melanochrysum, also known as the Black Gold Philodendron. Now, I've only sort of just discovered that, but I can see why. This plant is absolutely striking when you look at it. It's got the sort of dark, really dark green leaves that, you know, at a glance could also potentially look black as well. And as the new leaves come in, they do go this wonderful sort of golden color, hence the black gold name. So I've had this plant in my collection from around February 2021, so not a terribly long time. At the time of filming this video, it is now July, so not a tremendous amount of time. But in that time, this plant has done so much growth, and it took a little while, I must say. And once it started going, it just never stopped. And before a leaf is finished hardening off, there's always another leaf ready to take its place. So it is a tremendously fast growing plant. Now, as I said, I got this as a one leaf cutting. And it's been, just a handful of months. And in that time, just to give you guys some scale and show you how much growth I've had in that time, just take a look at this. Yes. I've had this plant on maybe 2 or 3 moss poles or stakes. And every single time it just outgrows it so quickly. You will see that this last leaf here is a little bit more leggy than the others, and that's because where it's growing is growing above my grow lights at the moment. So I am considering moving this over just so you can get a bit more light, but anyway, we're going to get into it anyway. So the Philodendron Melanochrysum, in my experience, isn't a difficult one to grow. It is considered a rare plant, and I can see why. It's a beautiful plant. This, in this state right now, is a juvenile state. These plants, these leaves do get absolutely huge. I've seen it up to about 2 or 3 feet in length. So they do get quite large. And I got this just as I said, as a single leaf cutting. So it will take a while before it gets to that sort of size. This plant, as I said, I do find it quite easy to grow, just like most of your other philodendrons. This plant does require a very well draining soil. I find that this plant does like to almost dry out before it needs to be watered again. So I would recommend that the soil maybe gets to around 80% dry before you water it again. For me personally, I was finding it a little bit difficult to keep on top of the watering of this plant, so I made sure that I actually transferred it into pond. So this plant is entirely in a semi or passive hydro system, and for me that's been a complete game changer. I don't have to worry about this plant for 2 or 3 weeks at a time because it's got a reservoir of water in there and nutrients, and it's got everything that it needs. So I don't feel that I need to really provide much more than a stable or a tall enough stake and good lighting for this plant. So if that's something that you guys are already doing, then please do let me know what your experience is. But I found it really easy, and it's really helped me to change up my game since I put this plant into pond. In terms of lighting, initially when I got this plant, I had it right up against an east-facing window. Now that's not the brightest light in the day by any means, but still I felt that it was a little bit too strong for the plant. I find that the Philodendron Melanochrysum prefers a much more sort of indirect light. Now what does that mean? I would say that it wants to be pulled back away from an east or west facing window. It doesn't want the sun to be hitting it for too long during the day, because that will cause the leaves to lose that dark green, that luscious green on its leaves. And I've actually found that my leaves actually grew a lot smaller actually. So you can see that, you know, there is a sort of period in time when the leaves, like for example here, started getting a lot smaller. Like this one here actually burnt a little bit from being in too much light. But when I've pulled it back, you can now see that the plant is starting to bounce back and starting to almost resemble some of the earlier leaves. In terms of humidity, I found that this plant does prefer higher humidity. You can see that from my second leaf actually that grew in my possession, which is this one right here. Now this is the largest leaf on this plant, and now this this leaf actually grew within my greenhouse. Now if you've seen my IKEA soccer greenhouse, it is tremendously small. It's a very, very tiny thing. So this leaf was actually hitting the top of the ceiling of that greenhouse, so I had to pull it out. And then the subsequent leaves, you know, got a little bit smaller. Some of them got stuck. I had to sort of help them along. So it does prefer higher humidity. Now that was at the time when I had it in soil. So I had it in a very well draining soil that was mostly bark and perlite with a little bit of organic material in there. And I found that I wasn't quite balancing the water to the humidity levels quite right. So the leaves were having a little bit more difficulty just unraveling and so on. So when I did put it into pond, I've never had those issues because it's always got access to water. So that humidity isn't really an issue for the plant. And my room sort of has a humidity level that is about 70%, which is very high, and not everyone will have that. I'm actually trying to get that humidity level down somewhat, but the plant seems to be doing really well. I haven't had leaves as big as this one that I showed you previously in a while, so maybe humidity is a key thing. But I mean, there's only so much space that one can have in a greenhouse. In terms of the nutrient requirements of this plant, I don't find it to be a tremendously heavy feeder. I tend to fertilize this plant just using the recommended dosage on the bottle once a month. So in the reservoir, I've set an alarm. I basically set it to every payday. That's sort of regular enough. So whenever I get paid, that's when I know I need to then go in and top up the reservoir with nutrients. Now from payday, you know, that will be the first time I fertilize it. When the water, you know, goes down, I'll just only add just regular tap water. And I'll keep doing that, keep topping it up with fresh water until the next payday, when I then put some more nutrients in. So that's something I use across all of my plants. I find that it helps me sort of keep on top of everything, because otherwise it's just a losing battle in my case, just trying to remember which plants need to be fertilized when and so on. So I just try to keep them all on the same schedule, and it seems to be working well. Maybe if I up it, I might get some bigger leaves. Here's hoping, fingers are crossed. But until then, this is what we're left with. Now, I find the Philodendron Melanochrysum to be a very, very rapid grower. At first, when I first got it, it took a while to push out that first leaf. It maybe took about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And then the next leaf was a little bit quicker, but not as quick. But then from there, it was literally throwing out a leaf maybe once, definitely about twice a month. So as I said at the start, before the newest leaf hardens off, there's always another leaf emerging. So it is a very, very rapid grower. And it's something to consider if you're going to get this plant. When I bought this Philodendron Melanochrysum, it was still at sort of the peak of the hype. So I got this one leaf for, it wasn't the most amount of money. I've seen it, seen a single leaf cut in a node go for much more. At the time I thought it was a very good price, but currently the price of this plant is going down. So if you are interested in it, then I would say now is the time if you want to get a single leaf cutting. I think any plant with more than one leaf is definitely, it costs a bit more, but I don't think it's worth it personally. This plant grows so quickly that if you want to buy this plant, I think going for a single leaf or even a no cutting will do you just fine, because once you get the first leaf, the second leaf, it will grow really quickly. So in that regard, it is a very good investment plant if that's what you want to do, because you can prop and chop quite easily. Hence, you know, the saran wrap or the cling wrap that I've got going on here. There were quite a lot of roots coming out of this plant. It wasn't quite attaching to the plank that I've sort of a makeshift stake that I've created here. But I'm hoping that this sphagnum moss that I've added here will help those roots grow, and I'm hoping that in a couple of weeks I can then chop these and make an individual plant out of each one. My hope is to just to have a little collection of plants that I can then use as mother plants to propagate for, and potentially maybe sell some leaves at a really, you know, much lower than, you know, the price I got the original for. So that's my ultimate aim. Unfortunately, I didn't get around to filming me making this you know, support for the plant, but essentially all it is is a platform. I've been redecorating my garden, and we made a bench out of some wooden pallets, and I had some material left over, so I sort of literally just took one plank on the bottom. There's a little piece here just so that I can screw this into it and into the bottom, and just to give it some support, and I've just sort of just one plank just for the back here. Really good, really sturdy, and if you're lucky enough and you've got the right environment, you might actually be able to get the roots to cling onto this, because this is the sort of material that they love to cling onto. My experience with the Philodendron Melanochrysum has been a great one so far. I would love to keep growing it to get those huge 2-3 foot long leaves, but unfortunately there's only so much space or room I have in my house. So I'm hoping that once I, you know, propagate this bad boy down, the subsequent leaves that come from this mother plant, I will be able to get them a little bit bigger. I am planning to get a greenhouse, so hopefully that environment will help me to sort of maintain the size of the leaves. So that was it, guys. This is the Philodendron Melanochrysum, or the Black Gold Philodendron. It's a beautiful one, very soft, velvety leaves, just really gorgeous. The texture of this plant isn't what I expected when I first got it. I thought it looks a lot thicker just because of those veins and those ridges. It looks like a really meaty leaf. It's not. It's actually very thin and delicate, so you want to be careful. Even the where the plant attaches to the vine is very thin. So I would, you know, advise that you be careful around that. But it's a striking one nonetheless. It's a really gorgeous plant. Yeah, and I think this is the time to get it. If you're interested, if you're in the market for Philodendron Melanochrysum, now is the time. The price is dropping, so definitely get in there. Now, if you have any questions about this plant, about my experience, about the journey, do let me know in the comments. I'm always there to answer any question that you put in there. I'm also over on Instagram if you want to ask me anything over there. My Instagram is @rootsready, so do give me a follow over there. Always looking forward to meeting some new planty people and making some new friends over there. So definitely hit me up on the DMs. But that was it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and keep planting.